This is Walk Talk Football, the show where we talk about everything that's on your mind. Today we are talking Premier League, we're talking La Liga, we're talking Serie A, and we're talking USSF presidential election. We have a new president in the house. We're going to discuss it, so let's walk. All right, first off, right off the top, we're talking U.S. soccer presidential election. Two parts with USSF VP, a board member, and an independent director open. Who would you like to see run? Similar question for the two soccer GMs that were announced. Who would be your top candidates? Honestly, I'd love to see all these presidential candidates stay involved on some level, whether that's in a GM role, whether that's in this in a VP position. You know, I like some of the stuff that Eric Ronaldo said, what Kyle Martino said, what Kathy Carter said, what Mike Winograd said, Steve Gans. All these people, I think, are invaluable for the U.S. soccer landscape, and I would love to see them stay involved. Whether they're the right ones for the job, the GM role I'm not really sure about. A GM is typically dealing with managing revenue, profits and losses, things like that, but it depends what kind of hybrid role they want that person to be. If it's more on the business side, then you need somebody with that strong business experience to help grow the U.S. soccer business, and then use that money to spread that around. If it's more on the technical side, then you need that person to be able to be more technical. You need them more overseeing the head manager or the men's national team coach or the women's national team coach or the youth coaches. You need somebody to step into that role. So they'll need a lot of management as well as coaching experience to understand who's the right guy for the job, when is the right time to move. Hey, look at this. The picture of a girl with a soccer ball. Relevant to the show. That's why we came down here. But yeah, there's no particular names that I think are the right ones because they haven't really clarified what those roles are going to be. So the more I can understand that, then the better answer I can give you. So hopefully in a few months' time, I'll have a better answer for you. So make sure you ask me that again. Do you think Carlos Cordeiro will help the men's national team back on track? What changes do you expect? One thing I liked about Carlos's answers is that he was openly against sort of the status quo. He was openly against the way things were. Now, he wasn't as public and out in the forums as much as I think Kyle Martino or Eric Ronaldo were, but you know, it shows us kind of the bubble we live in the soccer world where he was doing a lot of stuff behind closed doors. So were all the other candidates, but he seems to think that since the 90s, U.S. soccer hasn't really changed, and he's been involved in that. So I think he's the kind of guy that could come in and make a difference. Now, I'm skeptical just like everybody else because he's part of the old regime, but that could play into an advantage because he knows the inner workings, he knows how it takes, he can hit the ground running and really, really make change. Hopefully, I'm very hopeful, I'm optimistic. Hopefully we get a chance to talk to him soon, trying to get his thoughts on the election, what his plans are, what his goals are. Clearly he knows how to make money. Clearly he knows U.S. soccer's been making money and he's been moving it forward as the vice president. So we'll see what he does in the new presidential role. But just remember, a lot of these people stepping into these roles are not martyrs, so to speak, but they are volunteers. They are stepping into these roles because they care. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens. And if you're not really supportive of that, that's fine too. But at least for myself, it's better for me to be excited about what's going to happen and at least give a fair chance to really see what changes are going to be made. North London Derby. North London Derby was pretty boring this weekend. Do you expect better from Tottenham against Juventus this week? Not really. I don't expect better from Tottenham. Tottenham got a result against Arsenal, so they did what they had to do. So I don't think they really care how things play out. They won North London Derby. They didn't always win those things back in the day, and now it seems like they're going hit for hit, even though Arsenal won one earlier in the year. Against Juventus, I think that'll be a much more rigid type game, a lot playing not to make mistakes, not playing wide open, at least in the first leg. So I don't expect it to be a more exciting game, but I expect Harry Kane to try to score goals and he'll try to do it against Juventus as well. How big of an impact will Lucas Moura make at Spurs? It's hard to say, you know, he came to PSG, 40-something million transfer fee, and people expected so much from him, and I just don't see. He didn't really play out. His first year, he had 11 assists, I think, for PSG, and then after that, he kind of fell off, hasn't really been a regular starter. Now he's coming in 25 million pounds or so to Tottenham. He's still young enough to continue to improve, but he never really cemented himself in the starting 11. And that's a Tottenham squad, by the way, that's very, very good. There's not a lot of room in the lineup for him to step into, so he's going to have to take his game to another level. We all know he's lightning fast. If you ever played with him on FIFA, he's incredibly fast. He's a guy that you'd put on the field just because he had like 90+ speed rating and it was worth having him on the field because he'd run past people. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, I hope he does well, except for when he plays against Arsenal. What the hell is going on with Mourinho and Pogba? Is he hurt? Who will stay at United longer if they continue to clash? I'm not really sure, man. Pogba's a powerful man in that team. He's got a long contract. They're paying huge wages for him. They're paying record-breaking wages. But look, I think Mourinho will go first. I think Mourinho can't stay forever. He hasn't stayed at any club forever because he eventually burns that bridge or loses the locker room where they need to make changes. But it's interesting because he is subbing him out in big games. He subbed him out against Newcastle as soon as they went down, and as well as Matic, who I think he was blaming as well for that goal, saying they weren't challenging. But it's interesting to see because that's usually when you want a guy like Pogba to take over games. And clearly Mourinho's suggesting that Pogba's not doing what he's asking him to do to be able to take over games or get the team back in the lineup, and he feels that subbing him is the right thing to do. And that is a bold move. It is very, very traumatizing when you have ego players and big stars and you sub them out. They don't feel as important and you start to lose them in the locker room. Now, I can't say whether what's happening between them behind closed doors. Maybe they're saying maybe he's nursing an injury. Maybe it's something bigger than or smaller than what we thought. But either way, seeing a guy like that get subbed out in a match, especially a big match when they're losing to Newcastle, it's a little bit startling. What do you think of Michy Batshuayi's hot start in the Bundesliga, Marco Reus's return? Marco Reus's return's great. He was captain for the match, which I think is really cool. Everybody seemed to be very positive about his return. He was healthy, coming out from a long-term knee injury, which I think is hard to come back from, but he looked strong, he looked fit. Played, I think, 82 minutes like that, and I'm really happy for him because Dortmund need a player like him back in their lineup to sort of just revitalize this team. And then also a guy like Batshuayi, who now has 3 goals in 2 games. And that's not really a shock. If you watched him when he was at Chelsea, he scored. He scored in the League Cup, he scored in the FA Cup, he scored in the Champions League, he was scoring in the league. He just wasn't getting a ton of opportunities to really get a run of form. So he's a guy that you knew he was going to score, and he's young enough to really continue to get better and better. And if you see him when he's hot, I mean, he's very, very hot. Do you expect any upsets this weekend in the Champions League? Juve play Tottenham, or this week in the Champions League, Juve Tottenham, Basel City, Porto LFC, Real Madrid PSG. Real Madrid, I think, is an upset. I think they're going to beat PSG. It's weird to say because they're the current European champions, but I do think that will be an upset because PSG is in much better current form. And guys, make sure you tune in with us, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do a live show, STFU, on our YouTube channel, so make sure you guys are checking that out after Champions League games on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, STFU, live on our YouTube, 5 p.m. Make sure you check that out. We're going to talk about all the results, and hopefully there'll be some upsets and some crazy moments for us to discuss with you guys. It's a two-way conversation. You guys get into the comments. We give you guys shout-outs. We give you guys love, so make sure you're watching that whenever it's on. Oh, what else here? Liverpool getting Andy Robinson for only $8 million is robbery, and Karius finally looking like an actual goalie. Liverpool have done good business there, even if it took some time. I agree. I'm still not totally convinced on Karius. I think he's in a good run of form. I think Mignolet is also not very consistent. I would love to see one of them sort of just take the job and hold it consistently for the rest of the year. But then Andy Robertson has been a revelation for them. You guys are going to give me stick for saying revelation, but I think he's been very, very good, and I think he's been underrated, and he is a guy that you need in the squad to continue to improve and develop as a player as the team gets better. You can't just always bring in and buy big players and big name players and hope they're all going to work out. You need guys like Robertson, get first steal, come in and get the job done. Well, guys, guess what? Here is a bit of a promo for you. Copa 90. We've got a newsletter now, and it's awesome. To put it simply, it's the greatest action from across our network, right? So we're doing exclusive giveaways, promotion, things like that. So if you want one of those newsletters being delivered directly to you, click the link in the comments, right? Link in the comments, yeah. Click the link in the comments and we'll make sure we're getting you that newsletter because it's a lot of fun. It's got all the information you need. I read it because it gives me a little update so I can sound a lot smarter when I talk to you guys. And we'd love for you guys to get it too, so make sure you register, inbox, straight to the inbox, register. Yeah, click the link in the comments. Yeah, exactly. Heath, what's your favorite Winter Olympic sport? I love bobsledding. That's pretty fun. I like what's this one called?
Oh, is that skiing?
Yeah, skiing jump. Snowboarding is always awesome. Curling is sick, dude. I've always wanted to curl, and nobody ever wants to go. I don't know where you could go curling, but I want to go curling. Can we go curling in Russia this summer? There's got to be a place you can go curling, right?
Yeah, it's in the bucket list.
All right, there it is, dude. You heard it here. We got to add that to the bucket list because it wouldn't have made it otherwise if we didn't have this conversation. Barca went goalless for the first time this season against Getafe. Are they slowing down? Could the title race be on? The title race is not on. I can guarantee you that. But they are slowing down because they're playing a good run of games and they're in an incredible run of form. Of course, they're going to eventually hit that rough patch. They need to be able to rest players. They have big, big games coming up. But the league itself, it's just about managing that schedule. Going goalless, it's not really startling. Iniesta even said it's like kind of that time of year where you sort of hit that wall. So I'm not worried about it, but you know, because they didn't lose. But if they started losing, then we'll have that conversation then. With Napoli winning over Lazio, will they beat Juve for the title? How about their Europa League chances? I think they could do really well in the Europa League or win the title. I think managing both is not really feasible with the squad that they have or the depth that they have, which would be really sad if they don't at least win something. This is one of the better teams we've seen in a long time, and it only lasts so long that they keep this team together before these players want to move on to places where they can guarantee trophies. And if they were, you're talking about 2, 3, 4 years now, one of the best teams in Europe, and they're not potentially going to win a trophy. You know, the only thing that they need to do to wrap this team up is win some sort of silverware, whether that's Europa League, whether that's the Scudetto. Either way, they've got to find a way to win something, or some of those players that have had top performances for the last few years are going to go knocking on that sports director's door and say, hey, I want to transfer, get me out of here. So avoid that. It's not a good situation to be in. What can Chelsea do to get back on track to staying in the top 4? Well, they need 6 points for sure against West Brom and Hull, their next 2 matches. Because after that, they've got Barca, then they got United, then they've got, who else do they have? City, then they've got Palace, and they've got Barca again, and that is a tough stretch of games, and I don't really trust their form right now to be able to get the results that they're expecting. So either way, they need those 6 points and then manage that schedule. But if they don't get those 6 points, forget that top 4 finish. Jan Caramau, is it Caramau? Caramo stepped up for Spalletti, pulled strings, scored a worldie, put Inter Milan into 3rd place. Shout out, big shout out to that. If you guys saw that, if you haven't seen that goal, go and check it out. It is sick. He starts at like basically the half line, combination play, gets the ball, dribbles past a few people, and then bombs it with his bad foot into the sort of top left corner, and it is nasty, so make sure you check that out. Inter Milan now in 3rd place. Spalletti showing some stabilization for once for Inter Milan, which is kind of nice to see. We're gonna move on to the haters, which is my favorite part of the show. By the way, do you guys like this neighborhood? If you guys want us to do it here again, it's more difficult for our shooter, but I like walking forward in this neighborhood. Okay, first one. I'd like to think that these were all filmed in the same day, and Heath was very indecisive with his facial hair. That's in regards to the US soccer presidential election stuff. A number of different videos, but my facial hair was changing in each video. It is kind of a funny thought to think that like between each one I went and like shaved it to a mustache, or like had a beard one, then slowly shaved it down throughout the day. Insecurities, but that's funny. That's not really a hater. That's a nice guy. Get the guy with the orange beanie out of here. He is boring. That's definitely about me, and that's definitely a hater, so I apologize if you found that boring. Next one is, where the hell is PSG? Do you not know Neymar? Look, it was either PSG or Real Madrid, and I'm not betting against Real Madrid. Ronaldo is the top scorer in the competition right now, okay? They've been struggling in the league. This is their only hope to salvage a season. This is Zidane's only hope to basically salvage a job. So I have them beating PSG. PSG, I don't think are a great team. I think they're dominant in the league. But they don't know what it takes to win a European championship, at least yet, and Real Madrid do. So I think they'll tap into something that we haven't seen from them in the league yet this year. Clueless American, you have Liverpool, United, and Roma, but no PSG. Again, you guys should expect this from Americans. He doesn't know about football. I don't know what I can tell you, man. You guys clearly either don't understand what the power rankings were, which was that we were gonna pick the winner from those matchups and then put them into a list of the top 8. Because there could only be 8, there couldn't be 16. I couldn't have Real Madrid and PSG on that. So I took a chance on Real Madrid, which if I get that right, I'm gonna be a genius. If I get that wrong, well then, you go, well, he tried. He at least went out on a limb there, he went on, no. If I get that wrong, then I'm stupid. Because the odds are clearly in favor of PSG in the current form right now. But I do believe that Real Madrid are such a big club with so many good players that they're not going to get to the knockout stage and just get dominated by PSG. It's just not going to happen. That's just the reality of it. We saw last year, PSG had everything to lose, and they lost it against Barcelona. So this year, I think, I think they'll be better. I still think Real Madrid are going to get through this phase ahead of PSG. Final one is, this dude claims Salah is the best in the world. He's great and all, but he's not even top scorer in the Premier League. Okay. Does that mean something? He's got more goals than Messi. He's got more goals than Neymar. He's got more goals than Cavani. Only person in front of him is Harry Kane. Is Harry Kane the best player in the world? If that's what your argument is, then I'll give you that, if it's based on scoring the most goals in the Premier League. But if you watch him play and how important he is for his team over 90 minutes, he is arguably the best player in the world. I don't think I can be more clear than that. That's the reality. Is it right or wrong? I'm not really sure. It depends how you measure the best player in the world. Of course, the best player in the world right now is Messi. There's no way to argue that. We know that. Every time Messi breathes, he's the best player in the world, or Ronaldo is the best player in the world. That's the way it's been. So let's think about it in a different aspect, and I think that it's not too wrong to say that given the fact that he took his country to their first World Cup in a very long time, and now has been dominant in the Premier League after a transfer, that he could be one of the best players in the world, or considered one of the best players in the world. Does that make sense? Anyways, guys, that's it. That's all we have for this week. So make sure you get down in the comments and let me know what you think. Am I crazy? Am I right? Is Salah one of the best players in the world? Is he at least one of the best players in the world? Can Real Madrid beat PSG? Or am I just blowing smoke? Anyways, guys, get down in the comments and let me know, and make sure you're subscribed to this channel so we can give you more content. See ya.